This corn's about ready to come off. I'm gonna move these veggie dogs down, and then all the vegetarians will be ready to party.
Cool.
Very good.
One of the weeks
You should go on the table, probably.
Put it on the table with a fork.
How do these things work? Hey everybody, we're gonna get started, so let's go to the other room. That's also where the food is.
And so it's a twist and then up? Yeah.
Huge oversight.
Sorry. You're fine.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful.
We go around. How are you doing? I'm okay. Hey, how are you? Ready for this thing?
I don't know what I'm expecting, so.
It'll be weird. It'll be great.
Don't worry, I found the gavel. You found the gavel. Bring the chair. So call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody. What is Bros? How did we get here? Why do we do what we do in this crazy place? We want this history to belong to everybody in the room. Oh yeah. For the old king? The old king!
My name is Aaron Keating. I'm the artistic director of the Baltimore Rock Opera Society, and when I'm not working with the Bros, I have a mobile DJ business.
My name is John DeCampos, and what I do for the Bros is I'm the Archduke of Shredliness and Epicosity. I work at an office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I'm an avid old school video game collector and party monster as well.
Around 2006, JD and I were living together. We had an idea.
We fell in love with Phantom of the Paradise, the film. We wanted to stage it as a live show, like at every party. We would just get drunk and be like, oh, this rock opera's gonna be blah, blah, blah.
And I said, guys, we're 5 talented dudes. Let's write our own fucking rock opera and stage it.
Who's that man with the shiny guitar?
Grundle Hammer is the first show that Bros ever produced. We spent like 2 years in development, I guess, if you want to say that. Just being at the same party at the same time and like getting drunk and being like, well, what about in Grundle Hammer if like they have sex on their parents' grave? Like, you know, just coming up with really dumb ideas.
This hero stuff. There's like, there's like the Lord of the Rings bit, and there's like, they gotta go get the gobbledygook from the bad guy. And then they gotta go fight the other bad guy with the whiz-gob, and the brother.
I'm not your father.
And his brother and sister making out stuff, and then there's a big party at the end.
They gave me a script and I read it and I was like, there's no fucking way that we can actually make this show with no money. Are you crazy?
And we built all of Grundle Hammer out of cardboard and beer cans.
It was just sort of like, there's a thing now. It's Baltimore Rock Opera Society. We're looking for artists, volunteers, anybody who knows how to do anything. Actors, musicians, just people. We just need everybody, please. Show up to Dylan's house. Just come up. We won't kill you, we promise.
It was 2009. There's like nobody could have a job because we all graduated from college and there was an economic collapse, and we chose to live in Baltimore together. Like the feeling of like we got to do something was so strong.
I had a job at the hardware store, and Jono would come in all the time. Aaron would come in all the time. So I popped in one day, said, "Hey, who's in charge? What can I do?" Aaron Keating walks up, hands me a beer, says, all right, we need to figure this out. We need to figure this out.
I saw something on Craigslist. Wore really tall pair of high heels and I went into audition. My first role was Halvor in Grundlehammer. I always give JD a hard time because he did not want Halvor to be a chick.
Halvor was supposed to be an old man, like a really fucking old guy. And we had this guy walk in, he had a bum leg and like this huge white beard, he was bald, and I was like, that's our guy, that is Halvor right there. But then she did it and like completely just blew the whole thing out of the water. Now I can't imagine Halvor, being played by anybody else.
It was so refreshing to be in the show and being like, oh my God, this is something that's like, I'm 100% just being myself. I'm singing with my voice. I'm singing, I'm speaking like with my own like power and my own things. And I had never had an opportunity to do that before. They've never wanted me to be anything other than absolutely 100% what I am. Do you know what I mean?
I first heard about Bros from a friend at work. His roommate invited me to come see Grundlehammer. And I was super into that guy, so I was trying to be on my best, prettiest behavior. But when Chris took the Grundlehammer out, I fucking lost it and was like, fuck you, buddy, and just stood up and started yelling.
Idiots. We're all doing this really dumb thing. We're making no money off of it. We're being really silly. We wear dumb hats and stupid face paint, and we all get drunk.
It's always way bigger than life. There's always all of this great music.
It's a fusion of the highbrow and the lowbrow. It's the unibrow.
I don't know, do I need to explain it? We're all idiots. All my friends are idiots, and that's not a bad thing.
It's a family. And once you're in it, And, yeah. Sorry, get a little emotional there.
I'm going to tell you about Murdercastle. I'm going to tell you, this is what Murdercastle's about. As much as I firmly believe that Bros needs to be rooted in childlike wonder and fantasy and crazy guitar battles and lasers and dragons and monsters and shit, one thing that I came out of with Grundlehammer was that we made a lot of cuts to some of the more edgy story sections because we wanted to be family friendly and we wanted something that was going to be easily mass consumed, okay? We want people to be able to bring their kids and stuff, and that's fine.
John DeCampos.
When the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs hit the Earth, a chunk of it broke off. That's JD. And it was a destructive force at the time, but it's a creative force now.
Just thinking of this the asteroid breaks off, there's just this frowning, scowling rock.
Right after Grundlehammer was done, I was talking with Chuck Green at a bar in Hamden, and I was like, man, wouldn't it be sweet to do a metal rock opera about a serial killer? And the both of us talked for 20 minutes and just couldn't come up with a figure. We were like, we could invent a guy, we could use a real serial killer, but that's just weird because they're actual people and they're all contemporary figures. So then I started doing research, I found out about H.H. Holmes, and I was like, holy shit, this is perfect. Hotel with death machines in it. He was a doctor, a psychopath, a bigamist. It takes place during the World's Fair in 1893 in Chicago, a bustling city at the turn of the Industrial Revolution. The setting couldn't be more perfect. And I just started doing research and just running my mouth about how badly I wanted to do this rock opera. And finally Jared came on and was just like, look, I'm a writer, I know how to write, let's do this thing.
pitch party. Oh man, I love a pitch party. Pitch party is how we find our new show.
Anybody who has an idea for a rock opera can submit their pitch. 6 pitches are then submitted to the Bros General Public for voting.
Okay, so the show is called Electric Pharaoh. It says the future of ancient Egypt.
We are the co-creators of Cybernautica, new original rock opera.
In the beginning, a caveman rock opera. Cue the animation.
What we ultimately decided was so Murder Castle sort of won the pitch party, but it made people nervous.
This is a challenge for us, and it's going to be a challenge for our audience, who are going to come in possibly expecting, woo, the good guy wins, something blows up, lots of big puppets and monsters, yeah, and they're not going to get that.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4. That one will actually hold a person. 5, 6 seats. Feel free, guys, to take a seat, or even hang out up here if you'd like. There's a couple seats here.
Just a quick introduction. You are standing in the new Bros headquarters at the Bell Foundry.
Bros occupies the entire first floor of this warehouse, which we moved into during Murder Castle.
It's like our little clubhouse. Bell Foundry is the equivalent of like every cool treehouse you ever wanted as a kid, but it's like inside, and there's a toilet and there's a kegerator.
Sorry, it's chilly. He doesn't work in here. Okay, this will be our 5th full-length production, completely original from the ground up. And what we're going to present to you tonight is a little murder baby. It's tiny. It needs all of your help. It's going to be hard. It's going to be get to the point where we're all going to feel like it might not happen, and the whole thing is just about to topple down. But then we're going to, through a series of insane, tiny miracles that are wrought through really hard work, we're going to pull that show out, and it's going to be totally mind-blowing. And I get a little emotional about it because it's really fucking exciting. And every single show that we create is just better than the last one. So I can't wait to work on the show with all you guys, and let's fucking do it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
If you don't kind of know what you want to do, or if you just don't even know what the Bros are and you want to see what they're about, you go to the volunteer meeting, which is a really fun night. Everyone crack beers, we make popcorn, everyone hangs out, and each department of the show gets to kind of show you their vision.
The show opens with Holmes as a boy in the schoolhouse. Next slide. It turns into a train.
Oh my God. This girl gets off the train. Who's that? Her name's Annie Milbrook. She's like tough, but also like clearly out of her element because she's from North Dakota.
Yes! There are no blackouts thus far in any of the show. They're going to be literally workers in the 1890s building the stage for every scene while the scenes are going on.
Through circumstances, coincidental or otherwise, she ends up at this hotel that's also a pharmacy, that's also a restaurant owned by a very suave, charming gentleman named H.H. Holmes.
Dun, dun,
Totally
dun.
cool guy.
We're making him look really dapper, really fancy, and for the ball scene, his jacket is actually going to be reversible, and this scene is going to be crazy. It is going to be awesome. We're planning on putting lights in all of the garments for the men and the women for the ball scene, so they're all going to light up.
You fall in love with Annie, you fall in love with Benjamin Peitzel and his wife, you want them to be, really win it, and they maybe don't. Because maybe, I'm not giving away the ending, they get brutally murdered.
And their children too. Yes, everything that Jared said. And also, it's going to be moving. Because I think that's what will, if the audience goes away having been moved, as well as been frightened and discombobulated and made crazy, they will never forget it. They will always remember this show. And that is part of the goal, that they, on their deathbed, they'll go, Murdercastle. Right? Now I think we can do that.
What we need are volunteers who can sign on to a specific project and see it through to the end.
A lot of welding, basic mechanical understanding, and someone might need to know physics.
Tell us what you want, and we'll get you on the email list.
Okay, my feet are frozen. And there's a lot of people who are like, I work at a coffee shop, or I work at a fucking office, but I used to be something else. I'm gonna do that again.
I was trying to do the math on the social media campaign that I'm launching. So I'm like, I wonder how many days are from now until MurderCast, and I looked at it, and I immediately regretted. I was like, oh shit.
Then why did you make it?
I don't know, Jono!
How is it gonna get pulled off? It's gonna get pulled off the way we've always done it, which is just to do it and not think about anything but doing it. I mean, case in point, this guy's room.
Is this a bedroom?
It will be. You know why? Because it has to be. Because Joe can't keep sleeping in the bathroom. So, that's it.
Carry on.
It's going to get done because it has to get done.
I was just curious.
Or else we're all going to be really embarrassed.
It was fun watching Jared lose his mind. Got a cabin in the woods and just finished writing the script in a winter cabin scenario. Just took a picture of it and it was just that looks like where people are getting murdered. Good.
But creating moments when people feel uncomfortable or people feel sheer terror, it's a play about accomplishing all those things. And, excuse me, the stuff that Bros does is great, but the big spectacle parts of the Bros shows are going to be, huge skeleton monsters and somebody getting dissected on stage.
JD just wanted it to be so much more brutal than it ended up being because he would just tell these stories and he's like, it starts with an abortion. And I'm like, no, okay. People gotta come and see this.
One of the most difficult and frustrating processes in writing this show has been trying to figure out how to write this character, right? He's a sociopath. Their brains don't work the same way that other humans do, right? Where you can try to understand some of the motivations. I decided I will never explain H.H. Holmes thoroughly and completely because I don't think any of us can. It is about these lives that he destroyed, which are the main protagonists in the show.
Other auditions, it's always really nervous people that look freaked out and don't talk to each other. Everyone was just chilling and having a really good time and eating snacks.
Snacks is cool.
We always have snacks. And
Yeah,
I think it helps people relax.
Yeah. Aaron's really good about when someone new comes in the door, first thing he does. You want a beer?
Yeah.
Got a keg right in the corner. That's always kind of nice.
I ask people if they want snacks.
That's cool
I should
too.
be offering beer.
Well,
no snacks.
They're both good.
Yeah.
I built that stone wall with my own 2 hands, but do they call me Seamus, the stone wall builder? No! But you fuck one goat!
Mara's been around since the first Grundlehammer, right?
Mm-hmm. Mara's been around since Grundlehammer, but always backstage.
I wanted to do something different than what they all had heard me do before. Not to prove myself, but I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. So I just told a joke and I sang a tiny snippet of a song from 1814 and hoped for the best.
Downtown and cut and loose. I'm gonna run the flag up the pole and see who salutes.
That is an awesome extra.
Just give me a number instead of my name. Forget all about me and let me decay.
came in with a song that I'd sung in a chorus in 5th grade, which is like the last thing, formal I'd ever done. I was horrified. I felt like I was gonna fall over and die.
For we know we shall find our own peace of mind. We have been promised a land of our own.
I am Annie Millbrook in Murder Castle.
And I'm playing H.H. Holmes.
Today is a full build day. Today they're going to be there all day, and it's very important to me that there is beer at these events. Can I grab 230 packs? Sure.
Was it ever not Natty Bo?
No, it's always been Natty Bo. I'm not a very crafty, hands-on person. I'm not great at building stuff, but I am good at just like getting stuff together, and I like doing that. I like enabling the people who are like way more talented than I am.
Aaron used to hate it back in the day, and he's probably gonna hate it now too, but Aaron is our Kermit. If every movement, if every like scene has a magnet at the center of it, that's Aaron.
I would follow that man to the end of the earth.
I probably would too.
The show is God, which means that, the show is the number one. Above everything else, we want to create the show that blows people's minds. And what's necessary to do that is to have a huge hive mind, army of people who are working together and having a great time in order to do it. Because otherwise, nobody's gonna, if you're not having fun, why would you dedicate millions of hours of time to execute somebody else's vision? Well, it can't be somebody else's vision. If we want to be volunteer run, it has to be all of our vision. So everybody's got to do it together and be involved and dress up stupid and chug some beers and have fun. I need to head home and grab some materials.
Bring the sword, leave the sword.
I have to build a big ass sign that we're gonna light on fire.
I have a bunch of fireworks at my house. Should I bring those on Sunday?
Do you have any fountains? I don't want rockets, that's insane. That could get complicated, the fire stuff, since we haven't actually done it before, so I'm gonna test it. More gasoline?
Uh-huh.
Maybe repair the heater at the Bell Foundry, because that is broken. Need to pick up some crap from the bunker. We're kind of at this make or break point too right now, in that it's about to get real, sort of. In that we're actually looking at increasing our budget to the point where we have to start making promises to people, which is a very frightening bridge to cross. Yeah, we just took on $24,000 obligation a year for the Bell Foundry. That's half of our entire budget from last year. So we have to increase stuff more this year. And if we don't, we'll go bust and fuck it. Who cares? The experiment will be over and nobody will have lost that much, and it still will have been awesome. But if we don't go bust, then we will skyrocket, man. We'll be in a new place.
Hello, I'm Aaron Keating, Artistic Director of the Baltimore Rock Opera Society, and welcome to the Bros Telethon. We're here to raise $20,000 for the expansion of righteous rock opera in Baltimore and beyond.
Got it.
Bell Foundry rent came from the Campaign for Cash. That seed money is what enabled us to solidify the rent, break everything apart inside of it, purchase the materials to build it up again, and continues on to this day to be the thing that allows us to have that space.
Sherlock Holmes here. Places. Oh, places.
Action. The time has come to ask yourself, will you be a bro? Be a bro!
Didn't really light on fire. I guess gas isn't flammable? I don't know.
Yeah, there's people over here.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
everybody's quiet, okay? I'm the director, so I'm gonna ask you to, okay? We don't have time to waste in these rehearsals. Don't waste my time, I won't waste yours, so.
Until Murder Castle, it had kind of just been an ad hoc thing. Who wants to direct it, right? This time we decided to interview people and kind of, do it right. And Barbara stood out.
Barb provided Bros with some wisdom.
H.H. Holmes was a very charming monster. His persona as a businessman fit perfectly into the aspirations of that time, of the Gilded Age, where, business was on the rise and everybody wanted to make money and to rise in society through the making of money. And he was clever enough to plug right into that zeitgeist.
You see, Peitzel, that's how you treat a customer.
But he wasn't even a customer.
Exactly.
In the beginning of Murder Castle, H.H. Holmes is presented as a very charming character.
The entire block where the Murder Castle itself existed, he owned every single shop. He owned every single business there. That was his empire. That was his whole thing. And he was the guy, with the dancers being secretaries, him hiring a bunch of beautiful women to do menial tasks, and maybe they disappear. They probably disappear.
The cast came in and had all kinds of notes.
So how about during my life's work, it's not a body. He puts the lamp back together.
Would it be possible for him to definitely put the lamp together, then maybe fill a suitcase with some crazy ass knives?
It took me a couple times on 24 and 25 to understand what the insurance scheme was.
Great.
Yeah.
The thing that's been so hard about writing like this around Holmes is that the shit he got away with.
Yeah, this really happened.
Is unbelievable.
Exactly how it
It's not exactly how it happened, but the things he got away with are far more extraordinary than anything in the script. I wrote out just as a practice what he actually did as an insurance scheme, and it was a great fucking series. Who bought this shit? Really?
As soon as we get the band nailed down and we all meet and have our first rehearsal, that's when it becomes real.
Chris Baines, lead guitar.
Zach Branch, cello.
Erica Patoka, keys and glockenspiel.
AJ Minas, drums. John Smelly Smeltzer, smelly guitar.
Tyler Dirty Merchant, bass guitar.
Should have said dirty bass.
Dirty bass.
Trying to keep it where your brain will recognize that we are in another time period, where everything's kind of sepia tone and people are on weird looking bicycles, and the music is supposed to tell you that.
There were 3 sections, right? There was a rock band, a string section, and then there was a horn section.
I was in middle school when I learned saxophone. I was on hiatus, really. I didn't have my own saxophone after I graduated from high school. So it wasn't until I found out they were looking for a horn section that I was like, oh, well, let me see if I can find a sax. To go back into the well and tap into something that you used to be really proud of and used to feel really good about is amazing.
Hey Joe, can you give me a little tour of the cabinet?
Yeah. We're gonna be getting more of this free paint from Ace Hardware because they're giving it away for free, 1 per customer.
We were kind of operating on this is how much we make from a show, so this is about how much we can spend on a show. And now it's all right, we gotta squish this down a little bit. Because that doesn't work anymore.
Get paint! We're gonna get paint, don't worry!
What's your address?
Might get me some Dakota Shadow.
That's what I call it.
I'll rock seaweed then.
That was my second choice.
I would say just get blacks and whites, just general stuff.
Our gas furnace was just blowing cold air, which I have no idea how to fix. So
We have no heat.
Right now, we're putting a floor in my room, so I don't have to sleep in the shower anymore. Back in August, I was under the impression that we would have signed the lease for the Bell Foundry and I would be able to start building and moving in. We didn't sign until December 1st, so I stayed with a few friends in their apartments, and for a little while I felt like I was a burden on people, so I just sort of camped out for a few weeks in November.
Where would you camp?
There was a convenient alley next to my old apartment that I knew was pretty secure. I was taking cardboard from work to sort of act as my mattress, and I wrapped myself up in that every night, and it was fine. I stayed warm. I've got a pretty good sleeping bag, but the very first night I decided to do that, it started to rain, and it was a freezing cold rain, and it was my first night sleeping under the tarp like that, so it wasn't really set up right, and I got soaking wet, and I maybe got an hour's worth of sleep, but it got better after that. Not that it's bad, I enjoyed that. It just took a lot longer, and that was the frustrating part, was the uncertainty.
This is gonna be your room over here.
Just for you, though.
Try to imagine in your mind sewing machines.
Okay. Do you want to call this meeting to order or shall I?
We are here to talk about lighting and costumes. So having something like that'll be able to bend, like something could be flexible.
LED strip lighting.
Yeah,
strip lighting.
So that's a circuit?
Yeah, this is a circuit.
Built into the fabric?
Yeah, it's been sitting in my junk box.
Hey.
Hey.
Sarah.
I just came to bring fur.
Thank you. You're welcome to sit.
Yeah, if you wanted to sit in on it, you're welcome to just.
Oh, cool. I'm here.
Here, I'll bring the fur up for you, Sarah.
All right. Okay.
It's a funny sentence. Presenting it straight. Where the shoulders are is about where the mid of the head would have to be.
They wanted puppets that would represent the macabre spirit of the actual murderous part of the murder castle. We went through a bunch of iterations of just these pack-worn specters, ghosts, skeleton things.
I could actually wire to your jaw so that your small movement here can make a bigger movement there.
Get out of here. I could do it. That's what you should do.
At some point, the idea was like, what about just a giant skeleton that takes up the entire stage? Of course we can do that. That's easy. Skelmo, I just named it Skelmo because it was like, it's Elmo, who is a puppet also, but skeleton. Skelmo was hanging from that crane that we had built for Murder Castle.
So we're building this crane. It's kind of modeled after an 1890s style crane.
This is an old gate frame. So this pin going into this knuckle allows the crane to pivot and pick up something over here, pivot, and drop it over there.
The thing that I'm most excited for is the steeple that transforms into a train. And it's only in the show briefly, but it's a very large piece.
Don't include that in the footage.
We have all this stuff in the set where we're like, we're gonna have to use this wood finish, blah 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 blah. Garrett rolls in with this wood kit that says Martha Stewart living on it, and he just take this roller and he goes, whoop, and it's like done. I'm out. Peace, Martha.
That totally looks like lapboard.
Right?
That's so well done. That's
Martha
so great.
motherfucking Stewart.
I was really excited to seeing those parts recycled throughout the show. Heitzel's table.
Yay!
What'd you do?
Well, I was being an idiot, and I got my finger with the,
No, none of this is gonna work.
Hey, take it off.
All
Take
right,
it off.
there's some
You're gonna have
vodka.
to take the whole
Mark,
hand.
Mark, there's some vodka in the freezer. We're gonna need that. That's the closest thing to an antiseptic.
I'll just rinse it off and tape it up.
Pizza.
All right.
I call ceasefire at 11:30, shut down all the power tools. I'm normally here alone again by about midnight. And then I try and go to bed and wake up and do it the next day.
In other news, do you guys want to see our new official logo?
Yes.
Next time you see Shannon, you can.
Is that a pentagram?
Wind's blowing. Turn around slow and look romantic right now.
While the rest of us are working on making ridiculous props or rehearsing things, Shannon's the one making sure the world knows that the show's going to happen.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a graphic designer, ever since I was 9. That's what my dad was. I would go to work with him. I would color in logos with colored pencils, and I was like, I want to do this, And I did it, and it was weirdly unfulfilling. And when you work at Bros, you're putting yourself into it, and you're loving what you're doing because you're creating something that you think is beautiful.
JD, he was my neighbor, and I think we were like taking out the trash one day, or in the elevator or something, and he was like, hey, don't you write music? You want to write something for this Bros show? I think I wrote something like really, really dark. A couple days later, he said, really what I'm looking for is Bonjour from Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, God damn it, like if you wanted me to write a Disney song, why didn't you tell me to write a Disney song?
But in the white city, don't let the smell of progress put you off. The sacrifices to be made when the gains are good and the money's paid and our goods off.
You're varying ranges of skill level. Some people have been doing theater all their lives. Some people may have never been in a show before. So it's a little slower going, but it's also a lot more fun.
Sir?
I don't even know what's going on here. So it's blue. It's the blues, like a 12-bar blues. So don't worry about it.
Let's talk more rock.
Exactly.
Right.
There's 40 pounds of mac and cheese here.
That's insane.
The potluck is a party that happens usually at the beginning of a rehearsal process. Joe will start a bonfire in the back, and you meet everybody and you find out what they're doing on the show and who they are, and you welcome them into Bros.
The role of partying is that it's absolute, and that doesn't mean that you have to drink or get weird, but I think that it not only is it a differentiator for what we do as a theater company culturally, but it's like the gas to the engine. If it's just work, work, work all the time, it can be a little bit more stressful than you'd like. Having a couple beers while you're working on the stuff, that's all volunteer time, you're taking out of your free time. It's a nice little hey, you're here to have fun. It's not really work, because you're palling around with your buddies and you're having beers and shooting the shit and making jokes. So it kind of gives it a certain air of, levity. We're about to show you step by step the official Bros handshake. Once you're in the bro lock, you slide out, go straight into a fist bump. Then you meet elbows up top.
Twist it on the pivot.
Right, and then hand down, then backhand, and then you're gonna hinge out. Go into a wing, fly up into the heavens.
People accuse Bros of being a cult.
Oh, good sir. How are you today?
What they don't realize is that it's not a cult, it's a community. I've done shows my whole life. You do a show with a cast, you get really close with them, and then you're all off doing your next show. And maybe 1 out of every 5 shows, you're gonna make a friend who becomes your actual friend. That's not what Bros is.
The shows are the byproduct at this point of the Bros. The show is nothing compared to the machine that is created behind and around each show.
As soon as you step foot in HQ, you're suddenly a part of it. You don't need to be extended the invitation to come hang out at the lineup space or to come to the potluck or to stay around after your workshop is done and just fucking talk until Joe is like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're there, you're a part of it. You have this community.
Saturday night, there was music outside, there were people skateboarding. 3 police officers entered through our side door. It was unlocked, so they just walked in. The building is zoned for arts and crafts, and the officer who was sort of leading the charge came in and said, well, you guys look all right doing what you're doing. This looks like arts and crafts to me, but you can't have shows, you can't have loud noises. And I got very worried about us not being zoned for residents. We don't have residential zoning. So if anybody popped in and was peeking around and they saw a bed or anything like that, I would be out of a home again. So we've had to, cancel all the shows in the basement and really not let anybody skate in the back. They said you needed a permit for that to be a skate park. And neighborhood kids would just hop in the fence and we'd let them skate around as long as they weren't gonna break anything or steal anything, and that was sort of the unwritten contract. But we can't do that anymore because it's a huge liability. We're not letting anybody take beers outside, which is just sort of common sense.
Okay, welcome everybody to this iteration of the weekly production meeting.
Bellfinder note?
Yes.
Bellfinder note. Don't drink outside.
Yeah.
Don't smoke pot
Tell
outside.
people, no drugs.
The police have been around a lot.
Don't smoke pot inside, please.
That too. Yeah, that too. Crane update as well. The boom is done as of today. Woo! Thank you very much, Garrett and Joe. Barb, do you want to go?
Sure. Things are going well. We're continuing to crank out rehearsals and block, and it is really freaking cold.
Yeah.
I just have to say, I'm standing there for 5 hours today.
Has no heat. The terrain is quite large. We're going to have to think creatively about what the fuck to do with it.
That was my one note.
Yes.
Alright, I'm ready. Should I start holding it up?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Put a little bit of black into it just to ease it a little bit. But I might.
But he's not coming out.
Holy
It definitely looks like a torso with arms.
It does?
I'll give it that much.
You are about to hit some lights.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of hard to be aware of where the arm.
We started today on trying to build some movement that is going to be the creepier side of things. I don't know, I got really excited about the skeletons of the umbrellas already and the bones of the corsets. Like, there's already so much skeleton there. And that also, like, what was that holding in? Maybe it's just like gross maggots and like decomposing awfulness, or maybe it's not, and maybe there's something that's held in. Hold onto your own hands a little bit, moving around like that.
All my life I'd been a ballerina, and in my early 20s, I hit some emotional and physical roadblocks. I hadn't danced in 10 years, so I was really scared, but Lily was just like so cool. She made it really fun, and there were all different experience levels.
Try to add some of the like arm.
I remember like after the first rehearsal going back to Will and just like with this huge smile on my face, like feeling something that I hadn't felt in 10 years because I was dancing again.
So she had all this ballet training growing up, but had left it to do other things. And that's like the money spot for me. It's like, you love this thing and it hasn't been able to fit into your life. And then it creates like bros can create a space for you to be like, yeah, I can do this on my terms also.
This needs to be a stalking cat.
Yeah,
So I need to be really
you're
good
getting
at
pulled
this.
forward.
They tried to get me to waltz. No one ever said this to my face, but I am 100% positive that the reason why Holmes and Annie Millbrook don't dance in the waltz scene was because I was incapable of doing the waltz.
No, it's not that way.
Is there a right way?
We waltzed for hours. And that was my attempt at being like, look, I take this seriously. I know I don't have any acting experience, but I can try. You should give me a shot. I wasn't used to the pressure of having to remember a line and then deliver it and then not twitch your fingers while you're moving. And I was surrounded by college graduates who had degrees in acting. Lily was overwhelmed with getting everybody else together that she didn't have the time to stop and teach me how to dance, which was perfectly reasonable. I stood there and me and Gaines did dick and fart jokes during the dance scene instead.
So tonight is about preparing ourselves to enter a deep, dark place.
Warm, hopefully.
It's a little warm.
Kind of hard to find it first.
Mustaches are really powerful creatures.
We had all been growing out our facial hair for a couple of months probably at that point.
Normally I'm a mutton chop guy, but I've got a serious goat right now. Just the chin, man. I guess I'll be sort of V for Vendetta after this. I'll have
nice.
They came in with this guy who was like the sexy Doc Holliday of barber school, and he had leather holsters with scissors and buzzers and combs, and he was like, you have a mustache. And then you did.
I like to think that I'm generally like pretty good with names and faces. There is not a fucking possible way that I knew who everybody was working on Murder Castle. And then they all had different facial hair. It was awful. Don't do that. That's terrible.
We're all transformed magically into mutton chops and handlebar mustaches, which were very conveniently popular at the time amongst hipsters. So luckily, it wasn't even a weird thing. I'd show up to work with a mustache, and these corporate, boring sheep folks would all be like, hey, cool mustache, man.
How's practice for the bro down been going?
Pretty drunk, usually.
Whoa, hold on. That's a cut that. We're ready for the bro down.
Yeah. Every fucking year.
A Brodown is an event that is designed to serve as sort of a fundraiser, sort of a
Party. It's a party.
It's a party.
Everyone wears a weird costume.
I think that beer in the future too just comes in like a pneumatic can.
Maybe beer's already been all vaporized into the air that we breathe.
Hey Joe, Sean, you do the trumpet blast into this. That works really well.
Was it awesome?
Yeah. You want to try?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
I wasn't scared. It was really that loud.
Bro down, get your bro down here. Hottest bro down in town. Come to the Baltimore Rock Opera Society bro down. Hey, that guy's got a silly hat. You going to the bro down? Yeah, babe, that's what I'm talking about.
Our set will be like 3 songs from the Classic Bros repertoire and then 2 songs that are new from coming up for a new show.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ensemble Orchestra will be on in just 2 minutes.
The Brodown was my first time performing anything from Murder Castle in front of a crowd. I remember being so nervous the entire night that all I did was pace around backstage.
Hearing the music for the first time it makes it really real for people. The music is really the heart of what we do. And a lot of times when the band is rehearsing in kind of this alternate universe, we're all at HQ and they're either in the basement or they're in another practice space and we don't always see what they're up to. And so when that emerges, it can be really cool.
H.H. Holmes, please report to the stage.
Wait a little bit. One more time. My word. You can't stick that landing at all. It was barely an ollie.
It can get a little crazy right before we move into the theater space because all the costumes are done.
And Russell, you don't feel like you need suspenders? You're all good with your pants?
It's like a zit. Like Bell Foundry's just like swollen with stuff and it has to like get out.
The Autograph Playhouse, formerly
The Showtime Theater. Cab Calloway performed there when he was younger. Billie Holiday performed there.
And it was terrible when we first got into it. And there was like a raccoon somewhere. There was a giant hole in the back walls, which is like the elements were like in the space. And this woman bought it and like she let Bros use it and Bros like fixed it up.
It was our rock palace. We got in there in basically a handshake agreement with the owner, a sweat equity agreement that we would fix the place up in exchange for her buying it.
Trapdoor.
It was a rare venue in that it had like 285 to 300 seats, which is hard to find in the city for like a DIY company.
Rat poop. So much rat poop. And who knows what was like slowly drifting out of that ceiling or occasionally very quickly dropping out of that ceiling.
It was the place that, right when you were like, oh, this is finally getting to a thing, like a pipe would burst or like something would fall. It was a lovable, lovable dump with no air conditioning. It was next to a liquor store though.
We'll do 20, 30 packs of Bo. We donate to Bros, probably somewhat in vain because Bros tends to buy a lot of Natty Bo anyway, but we want to show them that they're not going it alone, that we support them and we love how much they support us.
We celebrate everything in this town, you know, and beer is obviously such a thing that's celebrated in the company that, you know, yeah, we got Natty Bo on board. Yeah, we got brewers on board. We basically would just be like, hey, could you give us some beer? Them getting some very funny social media out of it.
Good?
It's good. Bring it in.
Chair?
Bring it in.
We build a chair.
Ready.
Going into Tech Week, Barbara and Heather wanted to
axe beer.
Axe alcohol consumption backstage during Tech Week and during the show. And Article 1 is there will be beer.
I remember the beer conversation. I remember it getting a little heated.
There are just way too many moving pieces, huge set pieces. There's a crane, there are lifts, there's stage violence. There are just too many opportunities for people to get hurt.
Basically, I think maybe just a personal responsibility rule. You know, if you're doing something dangerous, you need to be capable of doing it.
As an insurance underwriter, I will tell you the first time you have an accident and it is due to drinking during the show, you will never be able to find insurance again.
Safety is only 50% of the equation here. There's also performance. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't been to too many bars that have karaoke and seen stellar performances come from those people.
We're all grown-ups, right? And we have been working our asses off to make this an incredible production. So I don't really see why anybody would want to drink so much that they would not be able to perform. Show is God, right? So
here's an idea: having a sober dress rehearsal and a dress rehearsal with drinking.
Oh my God, I love you.
Just to feel it out, you guys.
I think just from the very first bro show I was in, there are moments where people were like, maybe we should drink less in rehearsals. And a lot of us went to a four-year liberal arts college where there's like a culture of drinking, and that Bros became a new culture of drinking you could join.
There's the old story that you hear time and time again where it's like, oh, I was a nerd, or people didn't like me, or I was weird, and then like I got older and like started finding out who my friends were, and then I joined Bros. People are really motivated to like celebrate and to engage in that fellowship. For as much as it serves the group, it can also like serve to divide the group in some way. At the time, it was like, yes, I'm doing this and I'm in the show, but like, you know, also I can't do this all year round because it's not sustainable. Like, finding that balance, I think, is important.
But because the show is so complex, we have a stage manager for a reason, and if the conclusion is that the stage manager doesn't want us to drink, the show's only going to work if we listen.
So I'm glad we're able to open it up and talk about it. But I just would like to say I'm going to be extremely uncomfortable if we do decide that it's allowed, and I will be having a very serious zero tolerance policy if anyone breaks whatever we come up with.
Does everyone have a beer?
No.
Get the beers out! Get them out, get them out, get them out, get them out!
I thought we weren't allowed to drink this show.
Yeah, right. We've broken new ground. The entire band is present for one practice.
So, we've had 4 months. We cast the show, we finished writing it, we revised it, we wrote all the music, we got the cast together. Now we found ourselves a week away from the show being open. We're gonna go inside that theater, and then we're in Tech Week, and Tech Week is the worst.
You really want to stay here and work right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Everyone is tired and everything should be done, but nothing is done and everything still needs to be built. And like, you didn't know it until Tech Week, and it's when everybody's backstage until like 4 a.m, really tired. Like painting bricks or building a dinosaur or sewing tiny buttonholes on costumes.
4 people lost their jobs this week. 4 people just got fired. Yeah, sometimes your bosses are like, man, you can't have a job and do Bros at the same time. It's way too much of a time commitment. I'm taking a break after this for a while, though.
Yeah, it seems a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah.
You finished your beer.
Let's take it from the start of Sinu and Bone. So let's take it like from the very, very beginning.
Guys,
Let's do it.
easily the awesomest thing I've ever seen, heard, experienced.
Remember we do the dissonance.
Sinu and Bone, we didn't actually learn that song, the whole band, until about 2 weeks before the show, even though I had composed it months prior. There's always one. So I'm a nurse practitioner by day, and I had one of my patients actually passed away, and they were still a full code at the time, despite we knew that this was coming. We all had to do CPR for at least 20 minutes until the ambulance arrived just to pronounce the patient dead. And during that time, you know, bones were broken. It was terrible, and we all wished that they actually weren't a full resuscitative code at that point. But you know, to hear that sound of ribs breaking was just awful. And you know, I got home, cried for a while, maybe cried the next day and the next day. It takes a while to deal with that. But that was right before I bought a marimba and was like, I am going to use this experience and the sound that I just heard and put it into this show.
We've always had that one thing, that one elephant in the room. And this time it was a freaking skeleton in the room. His name was Skelmo.
We had the system rigged up. The thing was like doing stuff, but like it would knock over like Holmes's desk, and like and people kept getting in the way of it because it turns out you have actors in that scene. It's not just Skelmo performing at a bare stage like it was at headquarters where we built the thing. Barbara wanted to cut that, the whole thing, 2 days before we opened the show.
I got in a fight with Barbara the night before opening night. I was like, we've never cut something this big before. We're not going to do it now. We can do it because we've always done it. That was dark. I sent Barbara an email at like 4:30 in the morning apologizing profusely for how bad I felt for yelling, for doing it in front of everybody, for doing it as loudly as I did it. Oh man, that was a weak moment for me.
Everything was in my way. Everybody annoyed me. My boots were too big. It was too hot.
Horse shit!
I couldn't find my eyeliner pencil. And Adam Chase is there.
Joe was very upset about something, and I didn't know what it was.
He's like, "What's wrong, buddy? I can't find my fucking eyeliner!" And that's... I walked away and opened a beer and sat down for a little bit and borrowed someone else's eyeliner.
Oh my God.
Automation to slow it down a little bit. Yeah, that's the only. Automation, like really hit each syllable of the thing.
With precision, automation, I'll show them my life's work when I'm entombed in dirt.
I see your memory wherever I go.
I'm going to Meltdown. He was next to Meltdown.
God, so many notes. Oh God. Oh.
There's still a little bit too much of a stilt there, so it's like he gets you and it's just right into it.
Derek had it harder than anybody. And Barb was giving Derek a lot of direction to be just like more animalistic in this scene. Like just that savagery is finally unleashed. Like the cage is open because nothing is going the way he wanted it to.
I had to strangle a girl who I didn't know very well, who had become one of my best friends, who was later a groom's lady in my wedding. And the whole time, we had to convince everyone that there was a struggle for life.
Like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, he can take it. You're not actually hitting him, but like, it's very sweet right now. I want to see like, he's out. I want to hear more, I want to see more.
I think you've established what you want.
It's very important to me that Annie does not seem stupid and it's like ditzy, like she's just falling in love with this guy, because I want them to feel torn. I want when we kiss, I want them to want her to kiss him. I want them to be like, yeah, oh God, no, yeah, no.
I'm a businessman!
Nobody wanted any audience member to walk out of Murder Castle rooting for H.H. Holmes. Nobody wanted that. It was never the goal to make Holmes sort of the likable hero. And up to the point in that show, people were absolutely rooting for Holmes the same way they root for Freddy Krueger. But after that scene, nobody was anymore. And that's what the show needed. And this was the moment that a lot of people had problems with. Derek never undid his belt or really lifted up her skirt or anything, but it was more just like what Barb wanted there was, I could rape you right now if I wanted to. I'm proud of that scene. I am, from a fight choreographer's perspective, but I know how hard it can be to watch as a woman.
Their friendship is amazing and like beautiful and outstanding. And those two together, you saw it.
My bank does, like, whenever I get a refund check from Dylan, they usually just give me a funny look in the teller window, but like once this guy actually, like, you know, sends the tube back, I'm taking out the thing, and he's just like, can I just ask, what is the Baltimore Rock Opera Society? Double boom. One of the things that I really liked to do was to get 2 huge 4x8 sheets of plywood and paint a marquee. The only reason we did that versus letters was because one side of the marquee just had a friggin' hole in it, conveniently the size of a 4x8 sheet of plywood. So we were just like, let's just stick something there, you know? For Murder Castle, we, of course, just, you know, used a ton of red. I think it stood out a little bit more because the fire marshal, who was driving down 25th Street and was like, oh, I see that you've got something happening.
Sees our awesome sign and he's like, all right, yeah, this theater's back. Awesome. This is totally cool. Saw your sign. It looks amazing. Like, you guys are opening. That's pretty cool. Can I have a look around? You walk to the door. I was like, I know exactly what's about to happen and exactly how hard it is to fix this.
Let me just pop in and see how everything's going. Oh my God. This place is a death trap. You need to shut down.
The reality that exists outside of the Autograph Playhouse finally made its way in at that moment.
And I mean, up until that point, the AP was like our playground. Yeah, there were holes in the ceiling and the bathrooms weren't great, but like, you know, we tried our best. Everything about that theater was not up to code.
We decided essentially not to really reveal the full extent of this to the cast and crew. And the cast and the crew are under enough stress just running Murder Castle, and like that's what they need to focus on.
You still want to run lines? Or beer?
What? I mean, I'll drink a beer and sit in a chair.
If we're drinking a beer, we may as well run lines too. We need to do this. We need to do this.
Everybody's been working really hard, so I'm confident that it's going to turn out well. I did choke a couple nights ago and forget a whole scene.
Okay, you know what? I think Jared's right. I think I've created a mental block about that scene.
About which scene?
About that scene that I
The
fucked up
tights
on.
ones?
The only one I really fucked up on.
Well, we chat all over our scenes in the first half.
I was totally out of it the whole first half.
Did we talk about exit signs?
We have exit signs with attached emergency lighting and battery packs at 11, and I wrote rough count.
Okay. Put wiring for smoke detectors.
Nothing is Fucked began during double feature. I just kept saying it as I would, like something would crash on one side of the theater. I just began to say it. Nothing is fucked. It's just a good mantra to remember when working on something like this. Like each of our personal skills are being pushed to their limits, and a lot of things break. A lot of things break beyond repair, and we have to go back and figure it out all over again. It's going to be fine. Nothing is fucked. Everything is going to be all right forever. And that's also just become a good life philosophy to follow in between shows.
There was a former fire marshal who sought us out and said, hey, I can help you guys.
It was like meeting God. This guy knew everybody. He knew everything about the city. He knew who to call, whose birthday to bring us to convince someone to not shut this down.
We had really just exceptional support from the city. And they're like, all right, we want to see smoke detector, heat detector. We need a fire alarm system here. You have to drywall up this section. Like, you have to install all this stuff. And if you can do that, then we'll let you open the show. Thus began this Herculean, insane effort right before Murder Castle.
My God, it's excited now.
Yeah, we had to pull the entire carpentry team from finishing the set to building walls to impede the use of the set.
That was why we had to take the train off down the stairs over the orchestra's head.
There really wasn't money to do this, so I ended up putting in quite a bit of money. I think I own probably half of that fire alarm system.
But man, that was a pain in the ass. On top of all this, I will say, thank you to that fire marshal who came in and inspected the theater and did not immediately shut us down. Thank you, whoever you are, wherever you are, and if you chose to remain anonymous, like, good on you. But we owe you a debt, and I don't think anybody's ever addressed that before.
Before the show opened, we'd actually sold out every single show. Preceding Murder Castle was a lot of fretting. Like, fuck.
We didn't know if it was gonna work. I think I had come home like literally in tears the night before.
Yeah, at like 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
The morning.
Like,
It was
this
the
is
morning
not
before
gonna
nothing.
work. Everything is fucked, you know. We had lit a dress on fire in our tests. We're out there soldering in the lobby of the Autograph, trying to get the dress ready, and then like just throwing it on somebody at the last minute and like go, and it didn't light up, and like it never lit up.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen. We do anticipate a full house this evening. Please move to the center of the aisles. Thank you. Just like a fucking flight attendant, yo. You look terrible. Thank you.
Think about it. Think what you can do to get those people pumped up there. You're hilarious, but they should scream. You know what I mean? If they want to yell, they should yell.
Thanks, man.
Everybody make a bigger circle! That side is always so clumpy. Spread out.
It'll never be perfect.
Meet your neighbor.
Hey guys, look! This is the first thing that worked right tonight.
Yeah!
It's all uphill from here.
Off to a hell of a start.
Nobody's allowed to cry until curtain call because you're gonna ruin your fucking makeup if you cry anytime before that. My beautiful brothers and sisters. Break legs, break hearts, blow minds, melt faces. Let's murder this fucking audience tonight. Horns in the air! El poco de lupo!
Get around the wall!
El creepy lupo!
Eat the fucking wall!
When you walked into that theater and you saw the schoolhouse up there, there's no possible way that the audience member was like, that's going to be something different. And then we pull the crane out, we deconstruct this thing, we turn it into a train, and it delivers the message of expect the unexpected, and you can't expect what's coming in this show.
Chicago, the future is calling your name.
place just north of here.
Opening night was my first time ever going onto stage as an actor. The only thing I remember about opening night with any clarity was walking out on stage for the first time to an audience.
Why, hello there. Though it disturbs me to see you back so quickly. Did the tonic I give you not help with your dizziness?
Yes, it did. I'm afraid it's fainting spells this week.
Oh my.
The lights are just blinding and you can't see more than 5 feet in front of you, which is a goddamn blessing.
They ask me how I do it and what's in my bag of tricks. I always say to be clever and ruthless in business. But that's a lot to confess. I'm a doctor and a chemist, a man of letters all my life. I'll advise you.
Derek threw himself in, man.
He just blossomed into like this crazed powerhouse of a human being.
I can provide a guaranteed method in how to succeed in
The parasol dance with typewriters was like a really special thing. And I think one of my favorite moments was still like when those dudes came in with the typewriters and they're just like, and then like take them away, which is something I would never do, like only in this kind of theater, to be like, let's bring on a prop and then do nothing else with it. Okay, moving on, you know?
Yes, I'll say to these matters. Good day.
I'd like to see a room before I decide to stay here.
This way. Ah, here we are.
It rained, and I don't think
Oh, yeah.
we had thought about what would happen if it rained.
There was something dripping.
There was a wet area.
There's like a shelf of where the bricks completely separated from the mortar.
Fucking place.
I will not allow us to be dragged down as part of some insurance scheme. Business plan. You're a fool, Benjamin Peitzel, and that man will ruin us.
The thing I had to like fight for, which is therefore I love, was like the nightmare scene. The 8 core women who we'd seen all gussied up all show are suddenly just sort of like down to their corsets and their black skirts. And Barbara and I had to like really be like, what is gonna happen here? And I was like, I really want this to be about movement.
I had run cranes for real on like construction jobs and stuff like that. The hardest part about running the crane was definitely during the slaughterhouse scene. Joe and I had to be statuesque. We couldn't move. The band is eye level with us. They are playing the most slammin' metal song like to date with the bros. And like the whole time I'm like, how am I not just spin kicking off of this stage and partying? And I have to be a statue.
Somehow I got the best job in the house, which is to push the button to turn on the lights, which is like the best job I think I've ever had. Go into the booth, you know, say hi to everybody, chug a beer, push one button, and then as a programmer where I'm pushing keys all day. I'm pushing thousands of keys and nobody cheers ever. And then I finally get this one and the audience just goes crazy.
Don't worry, it's no work. I'll take you on. You will find the answers you're looking for. I promise. You are truly a remarkable woman.
This is the best song in the whole show. We're gonna rock out with the band. Let's go.
He's where his crash. I'll see him hang.
I was given that necklace. You may have just killed a man. For now, you need to trust me and do as I say.
Opening night, Chuck and Jono, they pull Skelmo's head out of the curtains. I'm like, oh man, this is it. And we swing the crane over. Chuck nails he grabs the hook on the first try. No qualms about it. Hooks Skelmo's head up. They get the cinch points on the stage. They're locked in faster than we've ever done it. And then the part of the song hits, and I just see Jono fall back onto his back, and he starts giving me the go up signal. And me and Joe just start pumping this thing up as hard as we can.
Last minute, we just decided to have people hold the arms up.
This is my surgical ward.
The acid face was my favorite effect in the show, I think.
I'm going to make your face unrecognizable.
I believe it was peanut butter and jelly. They just smear it on Chris's face. Someone filled up a bag full of fog.
Goodbye, Benjamin.
And you saw the smoke come up, so you know it happened.
Too busy focusing.
Look outside.
The roof was more like a cheesecloth at that point. It collected water and then dumped it directly on the circuit box, like the breaker box. So we had to build a tarp contraption thing.
We kind of improvised a tarp some sort of tarp shelter lean-to system at the last minute, and I think it ended up fine. I mean, I think it got a little wet, but it was okay.
Emily, you killed the wrong man.
No, you killed the right one. Exactly who I wanted you to.
The show really does a great job of trying to get you to connect to Annie as a character. And you see her die, and there's a moment where you're like, well, she's not dead.
It's like every night, still, you just got at the end of the show this like horrible pit in your stomach.
Goodbye, Miss Millbrook.
People were like, "Gotta clap now?" I guess.
They all stood, and they were going wild. They were clapping for the 200 people that put their souls into that project.
Nice work, buddy.
Did the show work? Yeah, you fucking bet it did.
Only a couple more months. We need to make some more shit. Much fun, people.
touch mine, it's like sweet wine. And I want to take a sip. Man and woman meant to get together. Let's do it.
There's something come between us. It's growing every second I receive your kiss. Oh, my heart is on your shoulder. My good intentions rising with your gentle bliss. There's something between us now, and I know. Planted a seed in baby, starting to grow. These are feelings that I had then. Stay deep inside and locked behind my door. Oh, what I'm feeling right now, is that power that I can't ignore. And what we're about to do is alright, baby. And it's just you sexy lady.
You're so crazy.
There ain't no need right now to rush things through. One girl, give it to you, give it to you, give it to you. And what we're about to do is alright, baby. It's just me and you, you sexy lady.
You're so crazy.
There ain't no need right now to rush things through. But if you want, girl, gonna give it to you. Give it to you. Like a sledgehammer. Wow! Like a whack-a-mole game at a penny arcade. Slide trombone. Like a fishing boat getting stuck in the mud. Like a popsicle on your mouth. Like a hot dog on a conveyor belt. Like a supersonic elevator up in the air. From the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top, yeah. Woo. Like a rabbit dog. Like a rocket ship going up in the moon, getting stuck in your moon, girl. Like a bullet train going to tunnel. Like my bullet train going through your tunnel. Going through your tunnel. An A-train. Like a man and a woman in Eden.